Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the 2022-2023 Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference Basketball Coaches Preseason Video Conference. My name is Jeff Cunningham. I am the Director of Strategic Communications for the MEAC, and I will serve as today's moderator. Before we begin with today's proceedings, we will have an opening statement from Commissioner Sonia Stills. Commissioner, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the 2022-23 basketball season. I am looking forward to an exciting season, and I wish you all the greatest success and good health. Please continue to be diligent during the pandemic and take care of yourselves and each other. The 2023 tournament will be the 11th straight tournament held in Norfolk and the 15th year overall. We are looking forward to another successful tournament at the Norfolk Scope. Please encourage your fans and supporters to join the MEAC Nation so that we can continue to provide funding for programs and events for our member institutions. For more information on the MEAC Nation Association, log on to meacsports.com. Thank you again for your continued support of the MEAC and its member institutions, and I look forward to a great season. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, Commissioner Stills. At this time, we will officially announce the men's and women's 2022-23 preseason All-MEAC First Team honorees, the preseason Players of the Year, and the predicted order of finish. To view the complete preseason teams for both men's and women's basketball, please visit our official website at www.meacsports.com. We will start with the women's preseason first team honorees. From Coppin State University, guard Jaya Alexander. From Howard University, Destiny Howe, guard. From Howard University, guard Ayana Warren. From Norfolk State University, guard Camille Downs. And from Norfolk State University, guard Deja Francis. Once again, the women's preseason first team honorees, Jaya Alexander from Coppin State, Destiny Howe from Howard University, Ayana Warren from Howard University, Camille Downs from Norfolk State, and Deja Francis from Norfolk State. The 2022-23 MEAC Women's Basketball Preseason Player of the Year, as voted on by the league's head coaches and sports information directors, is the reigning MEAC Player of the Year, Jaya Alexander from Coppin State University. And now the predicted order of finish for women's basketball in 2022-23, again, as voted on by the head coaches and sports information directors. Predicted to finish 8th with 25 points, Delaware State. Predicted to finish 7th with 30 points, South Carolina State. Predicted to finish 6th with 54 points, North Carolina Central. Predicted to finish 5th with 69 points and 2 first place votes, Maryland Eastern Shore. Picked to finish 4th with 85 points, Morgan State. Picked to finish 3rd with 89 points and 2 first place votes, Coppin State. Picked to finish 2nd with 105 points and 4 first place votes, Norfolk State. And the preseason favorite in MEAC women's basketball for 2022-23 with 119 points and 8 first place votes, defending champion Howard University. At this time, we will announce the men's preseason first team All-MEAC honorees. From Coppin State University, guard Nenda Tark. From Howard University, guard Elijah Hawkins. From Norfolk State University, forward Chris Bankston. From Norfolk State University, guard Joe Bryant Jr. And from North Carolina Central University, guard Justin Wright. Again, your preseason first team honorees for men's basketball. Coppin State's Nenda Tark, Howard University's Elijah Hawkins, Norfolk State's Chris Bankston and Joe Bryant Jr., and North Carolina Central's Justin Wright. The 2022-23 MEAC Men's Basketball Preseason Player of the Year, as voted on by the league's head coaches and sports information directors. The reigning MEAC Player of the Year, Joe Bryant Jr. from Norfolk State University. And the men's basketball predicted order of finish, again, as voted on by the league's head coaches and sports information directors. And a tie for seventh with 30 points, Delaware State and South Carolina State. Picked to finish sixth with 46 points, Maryland Eastern Shore. Picked to finish fifth with 67 points, Coppin State. Picked to finish fourth with 81 points, Morgan State. Picked to finish third with 93 points, Howard University. Picked to finish second with 102 points and one first place vote, North Carolina Central. And the 2022-23 preseason favorite for men's basketball with 127 points and 15 of a possible 16 first place votes, defending champion Norfolk State University. Once again, to view the full preseason teams and predicted order of finish for both men's and women's basketball, please visit our official website at meacsports.com. Before we begin, please take a note of today's procedures. Each institution's men's and women's head coaches will join us for a 10 to 15 minute question and answer session, starting with questions from the conference office. We will then turn it over to the media for questions. If you have a question for a coach, please click on Zoom's raised hand function, and I will announce you when it's your turn. Please state your name and affiliation when asking a question. And with that, we will begin first with the men's and women's basketball coaches from Coppin State University. The women are under the direction of first-year head coach Jermaine Woods, and men's coach at Coppin State is Juan Dixon. The Coppin State women returned the reigning MEAC Player of the Year in Jaya Alexander after finishing fourth in the regular season standings last season with a 9-5 record. The Eagle men went 6-8 in conference play last season and boast preseason first-team honoree Nenda Tark. Good morning, coaches. Thank you for joining us this morning. How y'all doing?
Good morning. I'm doing well. How are you?
Pretty good. The first question is for both of you. What are the vibes for your respective programs both throughout the summer and here in the fall as you get ready for the season?
Well, for us, going into the summer, we were super excited about our roster. And once the guys got here, get everyone acclimated. We had 7 newcomers. We want to get everyone acclimated to campus, to what we do, off-campus situations. And it's just been an amazing summer, an amazing preseason. We've added some very, very good pieces to our puzzle, and we're excited for the season.
Coach Woods? Is women's head coach Jermaine Woods with us?
He is. He's muted.
Coach Woods, you're muted. Okay, we'll get back with Coach Woods shortly. Coach Dixon, the last question I have for you. Last season wasn't quite what you had hoped, especially considering what the previous season had been for you all with a regular season co-championship. What do you attribute that to, and what is your outlook coming into this season?
What was the question? The first question.
Well, last year during conference, we dealt with a lot of injuries. Our point guard, Jesse Zarzuela, missed the majority of the regular season in the MEAC. But with him in the lineup, I believe it was 5-2. So going into the conference tournament last year, we were extremely confident that we can have success. Came up a little short in the championship game. We missed Tyree Corbett for the majority of the MEAC season as well. So two of our top scorers didn't play the majority of the MEAC, and that hurt us throughout the regular season. But like I said before, getting Jesse back in the fold, we were extremely confident that we can have a lot of success during the conference tournament. And going into this season, we added Sam Sessions as dynamic point guard, can score at all three levels. Cameron Cunningham from Fordham, Justin Winston from Robert Morris, and some other pieces that we're extremely confident about. We struggled putting the ball in the basket during the MEAC season. I don't think that'll be much of an issue for us this year, but we have to make sure we continue to execute and compete at a high level on the defensive end.
Thank you, Coach. Our next question is for Coach Woods on the women's team. Coach, this is your first year as head coach, but you're no stranger to the Coppin State women's program. What's been the biggest adjustment for you in transitioning from assistant coach to head coach?
First of all, I apologize for the mishap that happened in my office. I couldn't get on. I do want to highlight a couple of things before I answer that, if that's okay. We returned preseason player of the year with Jay Alexander. Obviously, we lost Aaliyah Lawson, who was first team all conference. But we do return a core group. We'll get Najee Tyler back. We have Mozzie Staples, who got voted preseason second team, and Jalinda Sally. So our core group is back, and I'm excited about it. The young woman chose to stay at Coppin State University. That's a shout out to our athletic department, and also my guy Coach Dixon, who makes us like a family. So I'm grateful for what to be here at Coppin State University. But the biggest adjustment for me is just handling things off the court. The on the court stuff has been phenomenal. Our staffs at Coppin State are one. And so people have 3 or 4 coaches. We have about 10 coaches, right? Because we coach each other kids. And that's the most impressive thing I've ever seen in a program. And I've been a lot of places. So I'm just grateful for my time here as an associate head coach. And now as a head coach, the vibe is unbelievable. So one staff is my staff, and my staff is one staff, and we're just brothers. So my kids in the gym, Coach Dixon is coaching them how to shoot. Obviously, his background, and his kids in the gym, I'm chopping it up with them. So it's been amazing. I don't know if that's going to equate to wins, but I know it feels right. And so I'm just grateful for Coach Dixon and what he's done for me. And the entire athletic department has been amazing. So the adjustment is just off the court things. It's not on the court because everybody just has my back. So if I fail, it'll be because of me, not because of them. So I'm looking forward to a great season.
Thank you, coaches. That concludes all of my questions. We'll now open things up for questions from the media. Once again, if you have a question, please use the raised hand feature on your Zoom platform, and please state your name and affiliation when called upon. Our first question will be from Charles Holman.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Charles Holman, Minnesota spokesman recorder. This is for both coaches. Thank you for allowing me to be on the call this day. Both coaches, you have teams on your schedule that's non-HBCU that will have Black coaches on the other sideline. How important that is to have 2 coaches going against each other that look like each other, but also are we getting close to that being more the rule rather than the exception?
Well, for me, you witnessed on the men's side how many Black coaches were hired this past season. That's a testament to how hard we work, us being able to, relate to these student athletes. And we have an opportunity to give back. Most of us played basketball in college. We live life, we have experiences. And I'm excited to share the sidelines with other Black coaches. And, this is something that, we all envision for ourselves. And just being here at Coppin State, I'm here with another, working with a fellow Black coach. And we envision preparing these young student athletes for something bigger than basketball. And that's what we strive to do day in and day out.
To piggyback on Coach Dixon, we sometimes run from the race thing, right? And we try to hide it, but we are historically Black college and university, and we need to embrace that. And so I appreciate everyone I coach against, but it is a big deal when I coach against someone who looks like me. Like representation is important throughout sports, through any sport, not just basketball, through soccer, through gymnastics, anything we do. Like we want to see people who look like us, but we don't shy away from it. We embrace it. We embrace each other here at Coppin State, but we also are very diverse as well here at Coppin State University. So we embrace diversity as well, but it does feel different when you're coaching against somebody who looks like you. But at the end of the day, you still want to win. So we're both going to go out there and try to win whoever is on the sideline with us.
Thank you very much. Good luck to both of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Our next question is from Herbert Savard.
Hey, thank you, Jeff. This is Herbert Stewart from HBCU Digital Network. My first question is for Coach Dixon. How was it landing Sam Sessoms? And I know you were pretty excited about having that dude in the backcourt alongside Nenda Tark. You've had some pretty good backcourts since you've been there. I mean, how do you envision using those two together in the same rotation?
Well, first of all, Nenda has become a superstar in our eyes as a staff. We watched this young man not have one scholarship offer coming out of prep school, and watch the way he's developed, not just as a basketball player, but as a young man over the years, has been unbelievable. And for us to add someone in Sam's caliber, we're fortunate. Sam's a game changer. Just his leadership alone, his mindset, what he brings to our basketball family, it's unmatched. And we look forward to watching Sam and Nenda play 30+ minutes a game together, share the court, share the rock. We're going to play through both of these guys, but most importantly, they're an extension of the staff on the floor. We're confident that they both are going to execute defensively, but offensively, they're two completely different players. Nenda has learned a lot during his offseason, worked extremely hard with my staff, and he's downhill. He's making plays. Where you have a guy like Sam, big personality, great leader, extension of the head coach on the floor, all right, demand greatness from his brothers. This is a young man that wants to play downhill. This is a young man that can score at all three levels, just like Nenda, but it's just we have someone that we can go to, and we're confident that he'll make a play down the stretch, whether it's to his brother or making a play, putting the ball in the basket. So we've been very blessed over the years to have some great players, but this is by far the best backcourt I've had since I've been the head coach here at Coppin State, and I'm super excited about it. I can't wait to get started. I can't.
Our next question is from Keith Henry.
Keith Henry, Sports World. First for Coach Dixon, I noticed the amount of local teams on the schedule, the Towsons, the UMBCs, and especially a trip back to the University of Maryland. That, Coach, that has to be fun for you. Talk about the schedule and how important that is to schedule the local teams and to have Baltimore follow you guys the way it needs to.
Keith, it couldn't have been more perfect timing. We wanted opportunities to play against the majority of these local schools, and we played them throughout my 5 years here. But going into our sixth year, we have opportunity to play every school in the DMV, which is big for us from a budget standpoint. We don't have to, travel a ton. We don't have to stay in a ton of hotels. We could treat our players that much better. But we're excited, to play against, Georgetown November 8th and come back with Navy and Mount St. Mary's, and you have Towson and UMBC, the University of Maryland, George Mason, George Washington. It's practically every school in the area. And just with the whole Maryland situation, I mean, of course,
Your take, you stopped a little bit. I don't know if it's my side or yours.
Can you hear me?
Coach,
Yes, Coach
I can hear
Woods.
you, Coach Woods.
Can you hear me, Henry?
Yes, Coach.
I'll piggyback on Juan and just continue the conversation that he's having. I know Ed Davis and Miss Ty Grace will play us. We'll play each other all the time. The problem that we have, and it's not a knock to anybody, is getting the teams in the Maryland side. We are playing George Mason. We are playing George Washington. But I would like to play every team in the area, so for budget purposes, and we just can't get that done. And I'm not trying to knock anybody, and this is by no means a shot at anybody, but like if we can play the Loyolas, we scrimmaged them this past weekend, we can get a game, the Towsonds or the UMBCs, like there's no reason for us to really go out of the state to play anybody, because like we have the schools here, and I'm sure Ms. Ty Grace and Mr. Ed Davis will echo those sentiments. We want to play, like we'll play anybody, and as you can tell by our schedule, we'll play anybody. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And my man Ed Davis is probably looking at me like, "What you doing, Coach Woods?"
Hey, my bad, guys. I don't know what
No,
happened.
you good, Coach.
Like I was saying,
Go ahead, Coach.
I'm sorry, Coach. I'm super excited about our roster, and I look forward to the season. I apologize, guys. I don't know what just happened.
Yeah, but just to keep going on Coach, that we are playing George Mason, George Washington, and we also playing Georgetown. And I went to my AD and I said, "We playing the DMV." He was like, "Yeah, but you ain't playing the Maryland schools. Like, I want you to play on the Maryland schools." So that's a challenge for us, and hopefully we'll get there one day. And whoever want to schedule us, we will schedule. And that's not me like being arrogant or anything. That's budget purposes. Like, I just want to play local so we can just drive.
Coach, you all are a good start as well. You all start with Pittsburgh coming to your house. That has to be
Our schedule.
That.
So our schedule, to be honest with you, our schedule is made for Jaya, right? She's preseason play. She's played again, preseason player of the year, and we get Najee. So our schedule is made to showcase those young women and to give them the opportunity to play against competition that's relevant, right? And again, we're not shying away from it. It is a tough schedule. I know, Keith, you saw me in the volleyball game and you was like, "Man, that's a crazy schedule." It is, and that's fine. You take your wins, you take your losses. You never get too high, you never get too low. But it's an opportunity for our young women in our campus and our community to come see an ACC school play at Coppin State. That's a big deal for us. And we did it last year. We had Maryland here, and we have Pittsburgh here next year. I'm going to tell you, we have another school here. So I embrace the opportunity, and I'm excited about it.
Also,
all right, Coach.
sorry.
All right, go ahead, Keith.
Also, Coach Woods, I know the first y'all went out in the first round of Eastern Shore. I know y'all want to do something different, make a big run. How do you guys make that big run and get the ladies right back where they belong in the championship?
I don't know if we belong there. We got to work to get there, right? Belonging is we got to work to get there. Everybody thinks they belong there. We got to work to get there. And let's don't, like, we lost to Fred Bachelor, right? Who was a veteran, who's an amazing, outstanding, talented coach. He's great. So congratulations to him and the entire MEAC. But like, we do feel that though. We do feel that. Our season didn't end the way we wanted it to. We kind of tailed off at the end. We didn't get the wins we thought we should have had. And as you can see, Keith, everybody came back, except for Leah Lawson, who graduated. So we're excited to run it back and see what we can do. But belonging and working to get there are two different things. And so we don't belong there. We got to work to get there, and we got to earn that. And so who belongs there is the defending MEAC champions, right? That's who belongs there. So we're going to work to get there, and we're going to work our butts off. And we have been doing an amazing job so far in practices and trying to build that and trying to get to that level of trying to make it to the championship. So we want to earn it, and hopefully we'll do that.
Okay.
All right, Coach Woods, Coach Dixon, thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you for your time and good luck this season.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Coppin State will open the 2022-23 season on Monday, November 7th. The men will be on the road at Charlotte. And as you heard from Coach Woods, the women will be at the Physical Education Complex Arena to take on the University of Pittsburgh. As we continue the 2022-23 MEAC basketball coaches preseason video conference, we're now joined by head women's basketball coach E.C. Hill and head men's coach Stan Waterman from Delaware State University. Both coaches are entering their second season with their respective programs, and the Hornet men boasted the 2021-22 MEAC Defensive Player of the Year in postman Christopher Sodom. Good morning, coaches. Thank you for joining us this morning. How y'all doing?
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well.
Good
The
morning.
first question is for both of you. Coach Hill, you can start. What are the vibes you're getting from your respective programs, both over the course of the summer and in the preseason camp leading up to the start of the year at the beginning of November?
The vibe is really good. Actually, I brought a new bunch, so it's a whole new. I only kept 2 on the previous roster, so the vibe is really good. They were here this summer. They were here and we're practicing now, so the vibe is really, really good, and I'm happy with it right now.
Coach Waterman?
Yeah, good morning, and thank you for having us. And just as Coach Hill has expressed, the vibe on campus is really, really good. A lot of energy and excitement. We got a lot of new faces with our program this year. We've added 10 new guys to the roster, so a lot of excitement and enthusiasm.
Coach Hill, you probably already alluded to this in your first answer, but what's the biggest difference for you and your program in year 2 as opposed to year 1?
A couple of things. One is that I'm in place earlier than I was before last season, which I had inherited a lot of, the roster before. So this year, I brought in 14 players, and kudos to my university, Delaware State, which allows me to do that because some places don't allow that. So I'm excited, but I have a new roster, a fresh beginning, fresh start. So I'm excited.
Coach Waterman, same question to you. Biggest difference between year 2 and year 1?
Well, again, much like Coach Hill said, I think the biggest difference for me as a coach is we've had our initiation and our baptism into the MEAC, so to speak. The learning curve was pretty steep. And now with some faces that we've had a chance to go through summer access and a solid preseason routine, there's a familiarity that adds to our comfort and our confidence.
Thank you, coaches. Those conclude all of my questions. We'll now open it up for questions from the media. Once again, please use the raise hand function on your Zoom platform and state your name and affiliation when called upon. Our first question comes from Charles Holman.
Good morning, both coaches. Charles Holman from Minnesota Spokesman Recorder. I'd like to ask both of you, you both have scheduled teams that are non-HBCU teams, but have Black coaches on them. So therefore, you're facing against coaches that look like each other. Are we talking about this more as a going closer to being a rule than an exception? Then we see 2 coaches going against each other in college basketball.
We actually, for me, I don't know for Stan, but I just try to find the best competition that I can get. And also that sometimes you just got to go out and play them and test our kids and put them in the fire early. So it's really, like the other coaches said, Coppin State is really that's about who's gonna make you better and what's the challenges for your program. So but it doesn't matter who I play. I gotta get out there and I tell my kids the same thing. So.
And I would echo exactly what Coach Hill said, but I would add too that I think it's inevitable if you look across the country at the number of hirings that have happened for minority coaches on both the men and women's side. Obviously, more coaches there, so the opportunities will increase. But we're excited always about that opportunity. As Coach Hill said, I think we're looking for the best competition. But to answer your question, I think it will become more the rule or the norm than the exception.
Thank you very much. Good luck to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Herbert Seward.
Thank you. Yeah, this is Herb Sewer from HBCU Digital Network. And this question is for both coaches. I know recruiting within the state of Delaware is super important for that program. What would you say has been the progress for both of your programs in terms of bringing in regional and state talent to that program?
First thing, you have to get out and get in the community. I don't know. From what I was told in the past, that a lot of the coaches from where I'm at was not out as much as I have been. So I think you have to recruit your home base first, and then branch out. So getting out there, hitting the ground running, and building relationships and mending relationships. So, and that starts in your home state first. And it also helps when you have a local legend on your next door to me, Stan, so who's really familiar with the area. So he helps out a lot. That's my recruiting coordinator sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, that's a perfect segue into the question for Coach Waterman, because your reputation precedes you. You're a high school legend there in the state. In terms of recruiting, this full recruiting cycle and what we can expect to see on the court, how has that impacted shaping this team for this year?
No, I think it's been huge for us, and both you and EC Hill are good for my ego. I'm a legend in my own mind, so to speak. But I think geographically for us, Delaware, we're situated perfectly. I mean, a couple of hours within an hour from Philadelphia, and we can get to Baltimore, and we can get to DC, and we can get to New York City within 2 hours. So I think for a recruiting base regionally, it is great for us. Locally, in state, we're in a state where there are only 2 Division I universities. So we want to focus and try to at least be in the running with the best players in our state, and to represent our state as a state university. So I think both those things will be helpful to us if we can add, and like I said, be in the running and at least in consideration from the best players in our state to come and consider Delaware State University. But we're excited with the direction. Again, I speak for myself, but I'm certainly excited watching what EC is doing with our women's program, and the roster that she's going to be able to put out on the floor this year. We are hopeful and pretty confident about what we will be able to do.
Thank you, coaches. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Orlando Hughes.
Hi, good morning, coaches. How are you? Orlando Hughes from the KRSB Network. This question is first for you, Coach Hill. You said you brought 10 new players on your squad this year. Who exactly are you showcasing with 10 new players? I mean, that's a big turnover.
Well, I'm not showcasing anyone particular right now. I'm trying to showcase the whole team. So if someone emerges as the superstar, so be it. But right now, when you bring a huge roster in like that, we're just trying to make sure we gel and be on the same page and work as a unit. So that's what right now it's all about team first.
Okay, got it. And Coach Waterman, for you, this next question. So you last year, first year there, but your team played very hard and consistent last year. What do you think in year 2? Last year really wasn't a year with the pandemic still ongoing when you came in there. What can we expect from your Hornets this year? Because we had an opportunity to catch you twice last year, and your team played very strong, just wasn't able to close out things. So what can we really expect from your Hornets this season within the MEAC tournament? MEAC conference, excuse me.
No, so thank you. I appreciate that. We certainly take that as a compliment. That's one of the things we stress all the time is playing hard, to make sure we go out and we compete. And we were able to do that last year. I was satisfied with that. I think this year we have improved our talent level. And so to be able to play hard and just even have a little bit better team in terms of skill and ability and talent, if we can add that to playing hard, much like EC, we've added 10 new faces to our roster. So right now we're focusing on trying to blend those personalities, spending a lot of time with team bonding and team building, to make sure that everybody understands that that is one of those identifiable characteristics that we want to have with our team. And that's that we will play hard and we'll compete every night. And now with a little bit more talent, hopefully the results will be a little bit different.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, Coach Hill, Coach Waterman, thank you for your time this morning. Thank you for joining us, and good luck this season to you and your programs.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Delaware State will open both the men's and women's season on Monday, November 7th. The men will be in Blacksburg, Virginia to take on Virginia Tech, and the women will be on the road to face Michigan State. We now move to our nation's capital as we are now joined by Howard University head women's basketball coach Ty Grace and head men's coach Kenneth Blakeney From Howard University, the Bison women won their first MEAC tournament championship since 2001 last season, and then won their first ever NCAA tournament game with a first four defeat of Incarnate Word, while the Bison men finished second in the MEAC regular season standings with a 9-5 mark in conference play. Good morning, coaches. Thank you for joining us this morning. How you doing?
Good, Jeff. How are you?
Good morning.
First question is for both of you. And this is a question I've asked the other coaches that we've talked to before, but what are the vibes of your respective programs, both over the summer and in the preseason leading up to November?
All good vibes over here, Jeff. Just excited to get ready and play in November.
Coach Blakeney?
What's up, Jeff? I'll echo Coach Ty Grace's sentiments. Same thing with us. All good. Just ready to go.
Coach Grace, the last time we spoke was when you had just hoisted the trophy in Norfolk, and we called last season a season of redemption, but really you went beyond that because you won an NCAA tournament game against Incarnate Word. So it was more historic last season than anything. What's the next step for this program? What's next for Howard University women's basketball?
I guess the next step would be to win the next game. that would be the next step. I mean, to be able to be in that first four and be Incarnate Word, obviously we want to win another game. It's to continue to win games in the tournament. Once you make it, you want to continue to propel and, get to the next step. And so the next step is winning the next round. And so, that's what we talk about. And that's, hopefully that is the next step for us.
Coach Blakeney, last season, there were some market improvements with your program in terms of the talent you brought in and the record you had in conference play, finished second in the regular season. What's next? What's next for the men?
Well, I just think it's consistency, Jeff. Can we be a consistent program that day in and day out, we know who we're going to be. We know what our identity is with our program. It's taking that step, I think, is a big step for us. So just being consistent.
Thank you, coaches. Those conclude my questions this morning. We will now open it up for questions from the media. Once again, if you have a question, please use the raise hand feature on your Zoom platform, and please state your name and affiliation when called upon. Our first question will be from Charles Holman.
Good morning, coaches. My question specifically is for Coach Blakely. I'm Charles Holman from the Minnesota Spokesman Recorder. Coach Blakely, I believe that you have one team on your schedule that's a non-HBCU school that has a Black coach on the other sideline. Can you speak on that? Are we getting closer to the rule or the exception when we see two Black coaches that are not in HBCUs coaching against each other in college basketball?
Good morning, Charles. I thank you for your question. I don't know if there will ever be a rule that will demand that we have, African Americans, with the hires that they're making. I think there is a conscious and intentional effort to be more thoughtful in consideration of who we're taking a look at when hiring. And honestly, I think, and this is me and some sentiments around other African-American Black coaches that are in Division I coaching, a lot of Black coaches don't want to play one another. And, the reason is behind that is because sometimes somebody has to lose. And are you putting a African-American, a Black coach, one game closer to his demise or his, not having success? So, certainly we'd love to see more representation in Division I outside of our conference. And, but there also is somebody has to win, somebody has to lose.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this season.
Thank you so much.
Herbert Seward.
Thank you, coaches. This is Herbert Stewart from HBC Digital Network. I got to say, as a native Washingtonian, watching both of these programs just blossom the way they have has been, pretty exciting. My first question is to Coach Blakeney. This roster has got real talent infusion over the last 2 recruiting cycles. Elijah Hawkins, hit the league and was really, really one of the better guards in the league the moment he got here. There have been some substantial transfers in Kobe Dixon, Jelani Williams, some folks that you got from that impressive Ivy League haul over the offseason. What are some things that us fans can really look forward to in regards to seeing this year's Bison's product as opposed to last year on the floor?
Herbert, thanks for the question and great to have a chance to chat with you. At this point in time, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know who our team is right now. I don't know who we are going to be. And, quite honestly, that's a little frustrating that we're a week before tipping up one of our first exhibition games and not knowing who we are. I just challenge our team every day and I say, can our standards be as high as our talent? Can we, or my standards, can our standards be as high as our talent? Like, I don't know. So it's somewhat frustrating sometimes that we don't know who we are. We don't know what team is going to show up from day to day. So I don't know. It's something that me and our staff, we have to try to figure out over the next, 6 months, I guess, or however long the season is.
Thank you, Coach. My second question is for Coach Grace. Seeing what Howard's women did over the last year, going into the tournament, the first 4 victory, that program has set a real standard of excellence for the conference, particularly when it comes to backcourt play. You've had some really impressive players over the past year or two that have really, made an impact in the conference. Who do you see on your roster this year having the same type of impact?
Well, since I stepped on campus, the goal had always been to win a championship and make the NCAA tournament. So that standard had been set from day one. And you're right, as far as the backcourt, we have been very lucky to have some really good guards. And we actually returned Ayanna Warren, who, this year made preseason first team, last year was second team on MEAC. So I'm looking forward to her to really, take another step in her game to carry this team. And, she's been the hardest soul this team for the past 2 years. So she's definitely one that we depend on a lot. And then we have, Kanaya Harris, another local kid who's just a strong leader and a different player than Ayanna, but she definitely brings more of what we need from a just settled standpoint. She's very solid at the point position. So, our backcourt is going to be strong once again. And I hope they continue to lead us like they have in the past.
Thank you. And again, I appreciate it, coaches. Thank you for the input.
Keith Henry.
Hello, Keith Henry Sports World. My question is for Coach Grace. Coach, before you went against Incarnate Word, it had been 39 years since a women's team from the MEAC has won in the NCAA tournament. Just talk about how significant it is for MEAC women's squad to win in the NCAA tournament, and how important is that, and how can it start happening again?
It was very significant, obviously. I mean, we were reminded every day how long it had been because the banner is in our gym. So every day that we practice and every day that we walk in there, we get to see how long it had been. So the reminder was there. And so to be able to go there and not only represent Howard, but to represent the MEAC was a big deal, just to see that we had an opportunity to go to the next level, for everyone to see that we were very capable, very able as a university and as a league, said a lot. And I'm hoping that that standard remains and that whoever is next will do the same thing and going even further. That's what I'm hoping.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, Coach Grace, Coach Blakeney, thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you for your time and good luck this season.
Thank you. Good luck, everybody.
Howard University will open the 2022-2023 season on Monday, November 7th. The men will be on the road to take on Kentucky, while the women will be in Burr Gymnasium to take on LaSalle. At this time, we'll now be joined by Maryland Eastern Shore head women's basketball coach Fred Batchelor and head men's coach Jason Crafton. Maryland Eastern Shore's women are led by the conference's elder statesman and Coach Batchelor, while Coach Crafton enters his third season in Princess Anne, looking to build off an 11-win inaugural campaign, which was an 11-win campaign last season, which was a 6-win improvement over his first year. Morning, coaches. How are you doing this morning? Thanks for joining us.
I'm great. Thanks for having us.
First question is for both of you. It's the same question I've asked all the other coaches so far. What are the vibes for your respective programs, both over the summer and here in preseason as November 7th is going to be here before we know it. So what's the general feeling in your respective programs?
Well, I think on the men's side, I think that, we're excited about some of the progress that we've made and the foundation that we've laid on the defensive end of the basketball. You mentioned we've had, made a jump in the standings in terms of winning a few more games than we had in the past. And, playing in postseason, the basketball classic was a great opportunity for our guys to get an experience, playing in postseason. We were excited to be a part of that. So right now we've got 8 seniors. We've got 5 new guys here that are excited to bring a new level of excitement. So we got some vets, that have been around a little bit, and then some new fresh talent. So we're just trying to build off of the foundation that we've laid and trying to continue to make the next steps to kind of keep progressing this basketball program.
Coach Batchelor?
Yeah, I know.
Batchelor.
Yeah.
There you are, Coach.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. We're basically in a reset right now, coming out of COVID. We returned nine returners, brought in 6 new kids, and we're trying to gel, new identity, new leadership, and it's been interesting. It's been very frustrating at times, particularly this week of practice. And I think it's just that time of the year where we're just, we need to play against somebody else. So, but I like what we're getting from our kids, our energy, our enthusiasm, and I'm looking forward to competing with this group.
Coach Batchelor, you mentioned the nine returners, and we've already had coaches this morning singing your praises and the praises of the program. You've got this reputation as a program. You make a lot of noise in March. What's the outlook the rest of the season? Because you play from November through February as well.
Well, that's some setup right there. I think probably Coach Wood started that, one of the new coaches in the league. Very crafty. But we've been fortunate to have some success at the end of the year. Not enough success. We haven't cut down the nets. However, I think we're very competitive at the end. I think we try to do a good job of keeping our kids motivated through a long season. We open up this year at Miami, and then we go to George Washington. So we're on a 5-day road trip to start. It's going to be very challenging for us, but I'm optimistic that we've scheduled some games. Coach Sidney Rakes, our associate head coach, he does a great job with his experience of getting the type of games that we can be successful at, and at the same time allowing us to hold our end of the bargain as far as revenue generating. But we're excited about what we have to face at home this year. We have some good home competitions as well as on the road. And we're just looking to get off to a better start than we did last year. And hopefully we can stay healthy and it will allow us to propel a good start until we get into conference play.
Coach Crafton, I mentioned in the open that last year you had a 6-win improvement over your first season. You also mentioned you had postseason play in the basketball classic. What's the biggest key to keeping that trajectory, to keep improving, to keep increasing the win total and moving forward into postseason play as a program?
Combination of things. I think as you build a basketball program and, the expectations rise. Last year, we were picked dead last in the country by Sports Illustrated. The apps on the front cover, ranking everybody in the country from Maryland, from Gonzaga #1 to Maryland Eastern Shore dead last. So the expectations outside were not very grand for our program. Inside our program, coming off not playing for an entire year, we wanted to go out there and prove that we could make a step, and we did make a step. Now it's about making that next step, and that's a combination of our players rising to the occasion, seeing new expectations, not being picked dead last and everything anymore, having 2 players make preseason all conference, and Deshaun Phillips second team and Nate Pollard third team. Shout out to those guys. So we feel like we brought back some good talent. We brought in some talent. I think the whole league has gotten better. We haven't brought in the same caliber of player in terms of, some of the places that some teams have gotten some guys from. But we do have some good under the radar, blue collar, hardworking guys that we feel like fit our culture. And we've got to scrap. We've got to scrap even harder than we've ever done before to keep raising that bar. And that's been our biggest challenge. We work hard as a program, but there's a new level of hard that we're still, pushing our guys to get to be able to take that next step. That's the journey. That's where we're at. And we're looking forward to playing against some outside competition, just like Coach Batchelor said, because I think it's that time of year where we kind of been beating the crap out of each other from the summer till now, and you're ready to just kind of see where you really are. And the only way you really get to see that is by playing somebody else.
Thank you, coaches. That concludes all my questions. We will now open things up for questions from the media. Once again, as a reminder, please use the raise hand function on your Zoom platform and state your name and affiliation when called upon. Our first question comes from Charles Holman.
Good morning, coaches. My question is for Jason Crafton, Charles Holman from Minnesota Spokesman Recorder. I believe one of your scheduled teams this year that's non-HBCU will have a black coach on the other sideline. Can you speak on that? Are we making a big deal about that, or are we getting closer to that being a rule rather than being an exception in college basketball?
What game are you referring to?
I'm sorry, I don't.
Is it UNC Charlotte where we're playing against Coach Ron Sanchez over there?
That might be, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, in terms of the opportunities for minority head coaches to come, I think that it's something that you've seen across the board now be something that's become more of an emphasis, a priority, and things like that. I think anytime you get a chance to, our culture and our coaches get the opportunity to showcase themselves as head coaches and, take the grind as an assistant and putting in the time and the work and playing against Coach Sanchez at UNC Charlotte. This is the third time we're playing against him. So a lot of respect for him. And there's a ton of minority head coaches that's on the rise. And we're just excited to see that for the culture, for the brand of basketball, to continue to push this moving forward.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this season.
Thanks.
Herbert Seward.
Thank you, coaches. This is Herbert Seward from HBCU Digital Network. I gotta say, the last interview was kind of representative of kind of the local flavor of this kind of media conference. For stretches last year, UMES had some really impressive play in within conference and against conference opponents. And I noticed that out of the 5 newcomers that you mentioned on the roster, you've got some freshmen for some pretty impressive programs. The Patrick School. You've got some from you've got one freshman, Mount Zion Prep, Victory Naboya. How do you see those guys fitting into your program this year? And more importantly, how do you see them adding to the defensive reputation that you guys developed as the year went on last year and this year's team?
Yeah. I think that, it's interesting. We've got a nice group of talent, and you're dead on. If you're going to take young players in today's portal generation right now, where people are taking their entire rosters from the portal, you're going to want to get some that are coming from some tough, hard-nosed programs where they compete against high-level basketball. So Deontay Johnson coming from the St. Patrick School, up in Jersey. He's a New York guy. I'm a New York guy. Notice most of our rosters happens from New York, and the other happens from the DMV. So they're coming from places where they're being challenged. St. Patrick School is known as being a top 50 high school basketball program and sometimes being the top 25. So Deontay Johnson's battle tested. He's a guy that had a lot of Division I offers early in his senior year. So he's a guy that we're excited to have. Undersized guard, but he's New York tough. He's Jersey tough. He's been in some big time games. He's made big time shots. He's played on TV. He's been exposed. We're excited about him. Victor Naboya coming from Mount Zion, second team all conference preseason. Deshaun Phillip also played at Mount Zion. He was an under the radar guy when we got him. Came in, was an all rookie player. Victory playing at Mount Zion Prep has played in a lot of big time postgraduate tournaments up in New England, down at Hargrave. So he's played, he's been battle tested, big time athlete, brings some length and some athleticism to our program. And then Toby Nadozie playing down at Believe Prep. Believe Prep is known to have a lot of athletes. They play a national schedule. Toby's from the DMV from Baltimore. He played at Mount Carmel High School, so he's DMV tough, Baltimore tough. So those three guys are freshmen, but they've all played in some pretty intensive programs and got also an extra year under their belts in terms of their prep school experiences. And then you look at Troy Hupstead, who's an all-region player from a junior college out of Panola, was nearly a double-double guy, brings some size and some physicality, can play inside and outside. And probably the featured name that everybody's familiar with is Amadou Fofana. He was a junior college All-American coming out of Erie Community College, another New York guy from the Bronx, and played last year at Canisius College his last 2 years. So he'd be a grad transfer for us, bringing some experience to the table. So we're excited about our transfers. We're excited about our incoming freshmen. We're excited about our returners. But at the same time, you look across the league and you see some guys hey, everybody got some guys. So everybody got better. So it's going to be interesting to see when we throw the balls up and see how everybody competes.
Yeah. I think that's the big, that's the big kind of, draw to all of this is that the MEAC has really turned into an intriguing mid-major conference. This is my last question. On that tone, how is it coaching against, some of the best, and I mean, in my opinion, some of the, better mid-major coaching talent, on the D1 landscape right now in conference, game after game? How is that experience?
Oh, it's incredible. I think the MEAC doesn't get the recognition that it deserves, nationally. I think you look at the latest KenPom ratings right now, which I'm actually pulling up, and of the 33 conferences in Division I, the MEAC was rated 28. Okay, so that's the highest it's been rated in recent years. So behind us is the Ohio Valley Conference, the Northeastern Conference at 30, Southland. There's never been a time you've heard the MEAC, being over the Ohio Valley Conference, being rated higher than the Northeast Conference. So it's a testament to the coaches that we have in the league that are bringing in great talent, the players that we have. So it's a combination of things. I think you look at Rob Jones and what he's done at Norfolk State, a lot of respect for him. We're both New York guys. He's built that program up. He's got an edge to him in terms of how he coaches, and he brings in those players that have edge as well. They do a great job on both sides of the basketball, and he's been there for a long period of time. North Carolina Central, and you see what Lavelle's done. And then you got a nice new crop of young coaches that have come in the league. So it's an infusion of new coaches as well that are bringing some new energy in terms of, raising the pedigree of the league, So I think that you've got the veteran guys that have been here in Central and Norfolk State. And then you've got the Todd Bozeman. I'm not Todd Bozeman. I mean, you got the new coaches that have come into the league at Morgan State and Howard and here at Maryland Eastern Shore and Dell State, and Juan bringing energy at Coppin State, and you see what's going on in South Carolina State and what they built last year, and another new fresh coach coming in the league. So that's what's going on right now. It's new energy, it's new excitement, and it's good talent. And I love the way the MEAC tournament, conference tournament is. It's a marquee event. It's at Norfolk, and that the way they do it at the Civic Center, I think it also brings a lot of exposure to our league and our brand.
Thanks again, Coach, and good luck on the season.
Thank you.
Keith Henry.
Hello, everybody. My question first is for Coach Batchelor. Talk about your seniors and how important they are. How important they are as far as contributing. What will you expect from them contributing this year?
Well, essentially, we have an interesting group of seniors in that 2 of the 3 seniors we have, this is only their second year actually competing. So it's a unique, coming out of COVID, it's been a unique thing for us in regard. We had Maya Thomas, who's played 3 years. This will be her 3rd year, had a great freshman year. I thought she struggled a little bit last year as a sophomore coming out of COVID. But I'm expecting big things from her, as well as Mahogany Lester after, playing 1 year. She's basically a sophomore as a senior. And then we get Michaela Adams back after ACL tear, who allows us to stretch the floor at that forward spot with her ability to be able to knock down shots. So I think those 3 kids, all 3 of them, we're expecting big things from, but I think they really got to step up. I think if we're going to do anything special this year, we've got a couple kids. We had a couple kids that have been recognized in MEAC recognition, but it's going to take one of those 3 kids, if not 2, or hopefully all 3 of them, to give us some significant play this year. And that's the only way I think we're going to be able to do anything significant is if one of those 3, or if all 3 of them, maybe step up and have big years as seniors.
Thank you, Coach. And for Coach Crafton, you all were in the postseason. That's huge. Talk about how that experience will help you guys this year.
Well, I think it'll help in a variety of ways. One, just having our institution prepared. We haven't played postseason basketball at Maryland Eastern Shore, in a long period of time. So, administratively, in terms of just having things in place, we were scrambling around trying to get a bus, and just trying to get situated. I think now, as we continue to grow this program, hopefully we can be in a place now where we create an expectation that, even if we're not playing in the NCAA tournament or in the IT, that there's other events that hopefully we qualify for, and just having some things in place. So I think, we've created hopefully that expectation that now we can have some things lined up, and things that just haven't happened around here, So from that standpoint, the organizational piece, I think, will help. And then the other thing was just getting our guys an extra chance to play basketball, in an event, and just getting anytime you get a chance to play a little bit more, it's always an opportunity for young guys to get a chance to go out there and do some things and see some things. We still got a long way to go. As many strides that we've made, there's still, programs in our league and that are still 4, 5, 6, 7 steps ahead of us. So, everybody's just used to seeing Maryland Eastern Shore being so bad, so we're still trying to change the narrative here. And while we do that, there's going to be an expectation that the other teams recognize what we're doing. So, there's going to be teams that are going to be coming to play us. There'll be no more surprises. People will be ready to play against us. So we look at that extra game that we played last year as a chance to, to utilize that to make some strides and hopefully we build off it.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, Coach Crafton, Coach Batchelor, thank you for your time this morning. Thank you for joining us, and good luck this season.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Maryland Eastern Shore will open the 2022-23 season on Monday, November 7th. The men will be on the road at Old Dominion, and the women will be down in Florida taking on the University of Miami. We will now make our second virtual trip of the morning to Baltimore, Maryland, as we are now joined by Morgan State head women's coach Ed Davis Jr. and third-year head men's coach Kevin Broadus. The Lady Bears won a share of the MEAC regular season title last season, going 18-8 overall and 11-3 in conference play. The Morgan State men were fourth in the regular season standings, going 13-15 overall and 7-6 in the MEAC. Good morning, coaches. Thank you for joining us. How you doing?
Good morning.
Good morning.
First question is for both of you. It's the same question I've been asking all morning. What is the vibe of your respective programs, both over the summer and here in preseason camp?
Well, great question. I've been listening to that question. Our biggest concept, vibe-wise, is to try to get back to where we were last year, which could be a little difficult. But the big thing for me is staying healthy. The injury thing kind of hurt us a lot last year, and the kids are really trying to, focus on getting their bodies in order to stay healthy, to be able to compete because of the number of teams that are returning veteran players. So, we're trying to get a mental attitude of just trying to be tough and overall just stay healthy for the season.
Good morning, everyone. Kevin Broadus here. Our vibe is more so a winning mentality, a winning attitude. You're going to face adversity during the year, but you can't break down. Our guys have taken it very personal how our season went last year, and we brought in 7 new guys, and we bring back 5 returners. But we think we got the right nucleus coming back, and we got some good players we think coming in, you know, and like I tell them, you know, we're at the point now, we have to play together, play smart, and play hard all the time. So our vibe is good. We had a good summer. A couple guys played in summer leagues, and they had good summers of the summer league. But the thing is, the summer helped us get together, be together, and play together. So we think we're in a good place right now. So we just have hopefully take it into the season in about 3 weeks.
Coach Davis, you mentioned how difficult it might be to build on what you did last season when you won a share of the regular season championship. A, how do you go about doing that? And B, how does that turn into success come tournament time?
Well, the big thing is understanding where you are with the returners, the kids that didn't play as much, more so in perspective of trying to get into the portal. I put a lot of pressure on our kids and accountability to perform and to be competitive and definitely try to be physical in the game. It's going to be tough because we lost a great portion of those kids that played for us last year. We returned 3 kids off the starting lineup. And I think one kid that was under the radar by a lot of people in the conference, Charlene Shepard, who ended up averaging close to 14 points a game and maybe 6 or 7 rebounds. So, you know, my thing is to build upon the returning kids and make the other kids that are here understand the importance of staying, hopefully, in the top run with the MEAC, which is going to be hard. So for me to get back to that level, first of all, as I said, it's going to have to be a situation where we don't have as much injury. And like Coach Broder says, that we remind them of a winning attitude to stay, because this conference is for real. And in order to get to where you want to go, you have to win.
Coach Broadus, your program, it feels like you're on the cusp. You're finishing in the top half of the league in the regular season. What's the next step? What does it take to really emerge as a contender?
For us, is defense. Our system will score points. We have to defend better. If we defend better, the getting over that wall and next course of going to the top is defending. We weren't very good defensively, and I think we got the right pieces now to defend at every position. You got a lot of good teams in this league, top to bottom, and we're just trying to get to the top, and the way to get to it is through defense. I mean, the saying, I hate to say it, they say you win championships through defense, which is true, and that's the next step for us, you know, being a very good defensive team.
Coaches, thank you. That concludes all of my questions. We will now open it up for questions from the media. Once again, please use the raised hand feature on your Zoom platform and state your name and affiliation when called upon. Our first question comes from Herbert Seward.
Thank you. Yes, this question is for Coach Broadus. I'm Herbert Seward from HBCU Digital Network. Looking at your roster for this year, you guys have a ton of size, a lot of it returning size, but there's one person that has kind of drawn a lot of attention, and that's Louis Junkum, transferred, I believe, from Radford. He looks to be a very integral piece of what you guys want to do on the floor. What are your impressions of him since he's come to the program, and how do you envision deploying, you know, him in your philosophy on the floor during the season?
Let me first say, thank God we got him. I mean, he's way better than I thought he was. He's a big body, physical, and he's a defender. He's a rim protector, a true rim protector, something we hadn't had. We had good big men who could score, but he can do both. And I tell you, stepping in, he's played at the highest level. He played at VCU his first year, then he went to Radford, had some success. He's much needed. You know, he plays hard. He's a coach on the floor. He talks nonstop on the floor. I mean, he's a throwback. He's one of those throwback guys that you hear from the start of practice to the end. When we're playing, he's doing the same thing. So we we're fortunate to have him first and foremost. And just, I think he takes us to the level to be able to guard some of the bigs in this league at Norfolk, Central, all the rest of the schools. Everyone has really good bigs, but they stand out. Howard. So we just got to figure out now. People keep saying, we're big. Yes, we're big. Guards win games. Our guards got to be better, and they got to defend better. That's the main thing. We got to defend better and shoot better. And I think we got the guys to do that. We definitely have the defending better guys, and these guys we got can shoot the ball. But Lewis is the catalyst. I mean, we run everything through him, so he's been good for us so far.
Yeah, and that's a perfect segue into the last question that I have for you. Guard play, the Torian Ware. We've seen during his career where he could really, really put the rock in the hole from outside. When we first introduced to him, he was, really, burning up MEAC competition. The following season, he had a little bit of a slump in terms of his outside shoot. How do you see him progressing and returning to the form that he had 2 years ago, earlier in his career?
I don't know yet because, let me just put it out there right now. I suspended him indefinitely, because this is the thing with us. No one is above the program. And I've been at the highest levels. I've been in the CIAA, from the CIAA all the way to the Big East, the Big Ten. The program is going to run itself, not any individual. So I'm just going to say right now, I don't really want to go in detail about the Torian Ware, but it's on him. At the end of the day, it's on him. You got to do things the right way, the program way. He's here, he's doing schoolwork, so we'll see.
Okay. And thanks again, Coach Broadus. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Good luck to you guys on the season.
Thank you. Thank you.
Keith Henry.
Hello, everybody. Keith Henry, Sports World. Questions are for both of you. I want to talk about the non-conference because noticing on the schedules, you're loaded up on some toughies. How will this help you guys prepare for when the MEAC comes around?
Let me start with that. We historically have always played extremely tough non-conference. It's just what it is. Fred Baxter alluded to it. We're trying to play games to prepare the team, but also the financial side of it, trying to, adhere to some of the university needs. For me, with this new group, it's a testament for me, as Coach Broadus alluded to test my guards. I think the guard play is the most important thing in the MEAC, and my guards need to be tested, not just by MEAC players, who we always say, the game of speed is tough in the MEAC, but by the bigger physical guards also. We have Marquette, Kansas State, Virginia, Boston College. We just play an array of schools out of different conferences, and we know the guard play is going to test us. So the schedule is going to be tough. And preparing for the MEAC, it still prepares you a little, but not a lot, because the MEAC is a total different animal, and how you got to approach it with the coaching styles and the players of the coaches in order to win. So I'm hoping that it has a balanced effect for us for this year, predicated on the schedule.
For us, it's similar. We go to Xavier, we open up in Big East, and we go to VCU, go to Akron, Bowling Green, LMU, and then we go to Arizona. It's twofold. A lot of kids think they can play at that level, and we want to test their, not that saying they can or they can't. We just want to test ourselves, see where we are. This is the thing I think about the MEAC. It's a well-coached league, way better than advertised. The coaches can coach in this league, and I tell people that all the time. It doesn't really prepare you for the MEAC because it's a different style of play, a different philosophy. And we picked up a couple of extra games this year because we want to take a foreign tour, and that's the only way we can pay for it. So just being transparent and being honest about it. It's a different look for us. You know, you get to travel. Sometimes you won't be able to travel. Some of these kids won't go to venues like that, and it affords them to do that. But the playing it and then going to the MEAC is night and day. I mean, these guys in the MEAC are prepared. They can coach. I mean, the teams are good, and it shows. Like someone asked me a question the other day, and I haven't yet. Hopefully, one day I'll be afforded to it. Why does the MEAC always get a whatever seed? I said, and it's interesting because being at all different levels, I had to think about it. And I said, until we at the MEAC get someone at the table, sitting at the table in that room when they're making the seeding, we're going to get that. Because there's no way in the world some of the teams that in the past has played in the tournament should have been a 16 seed. They should have been 13, 14, like some of these other schools are getting. But we need someone in the room for those guys and for those programs who make it. And that's the difference. But I think that the league has got a lot of parity, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be good, but we're gearing up for it.
Thank you, coaches.
All right, Coach Broadus, Coach Davis, thank you for your time this morning. Thank you for joining us, and good luck this season.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Morgan State will open the 2022-23 season on Monday, November 7th. The men will be on the road to take on Xavier, and the women will be at home welcoming Shepherd to the Hill Fieldhouse. Now for a little bit closer to home. We are now joined by Norfolk State University head coaches Larry Vickers of the women's team and Robert Jones of the men's team. Jones's Spartans won the MEAC title last season for the second straight year and advanced to the NCAA tournament, where they faced defending national champion Baylor. And they boast the reigning MEAC Player of the Year in Joe Bryant Jr. Vickers' program, meanwhile, won a share of the MEAC regular season title last season, going 11-3 in league play, and advanced to the championship game of the MEAC basketball tournament. Good morning, coaches. How are you doing this morning? Thank you for joining us.
Hey, how you doing? Appreciate it for having us.
Coach Jones, we'll start with you. Same question I've been asking all morning. What's the vibe of your program, both over the summer and here as we start preseason?
The vibe has been okay. It's going in the right direction. I think at first it wasn't necessarily going in the right direction, to be honest with you. I think that, a lot of times these guys would, because we have so many guys coming back, that they were treating it like veteran training camp or something. It was like that we were just everybody kind of knows the system, knows what to do and things like that. And so we were going like at half speed and things of that nature. So it's just, we've been trying to turn up the intensity as the season is getting here and, and invoke new drills and things like that. So it won't be such a monotony because, pretty much the whole team is back. So just doing things like that.
Coach, we talk a lot in the sports world about being the hunter versus the hunted. You've won the MEAC twice now. You've been to the NCAA tournament twice. You're the preseason favorite again. If there's any greater definition of hunted, I don't know what it is. How do you coach your team when you've got the bullseye on your back like this?
We don't really talk about it too much, to be honest with you. We don't really talk about the whole thing. Like even last year, we didn't talk about repeating or anything like that. We just talk about just how can we be the best possible team for the season at hand. You look at the other teams in the league, and every year. I know this year it's supposed to be real tough. Last year I thought it was tough. Every year is tough. The teams are good. They're well coached, and just trying to look at like the whole defending champ thing and stuff like that. Just try to look at what can we do to be the best possible team this year.
Joe Bryant Jr. is going to get the lion's share of the attention as the reigning conference player of the year. He's the preseason player of the year. But instead of asking you about him, I want to ask you about the rest of your crew. Who are you looking for this season to not necessarily compliment Joe, but to also step up alongside him?
Well, I think that's what the rest of the crew is what helped Joe become Joe, because now, yeah, Joe gets a lot of attention, but you can't fully put all the attention on Joe. Like you can't like just fully try to take him away and think that nothing else is going to happen, or try to box and one him or stuff like that, because we do have a lot of other pieces around him. Chris Bankston. I'm not quite sure what Chris Bankston was at. I didn't see the preseason polls or anything like that, but I'm sure he's up there somewhere. And he's a tremendous prospect. He's a kid at 6'9" with a 43-inch vertical. He had 72 dunks last year. So he's a force inside. And you have Dana Tate, who played well for us down the stretch. He averaged 14 and 9 in the MEAC tournament. He's a 6'7" guy that could stretch it. He had some big games late in the season, not just the tournament, to do well. He's a kid that had took a year off from playing basketball due to sitting out in other situations. So last year was his first year almost playing basketball in 2 years. So, we look forward to him, and he's been playing very, very well in practice. So, people can talk about Joe Bryant all they want, and that's cool, and Joe deserves it. But there's a lot of other kids that could play. And then Christian Ings, people forget Christian Ings was our starting point guard for most of the season. So when we got off to that great start, he was the starting point guard. He's super athletic. He's quick. Christian Ings got hurt down the stretch. So that's why, people didn't see him like the last 3 games of the season in the tournament and things, like that. And then, of course, we got other guys, Tyrese Jenkins. I could go on and on. But we do have, a lot more players around Joe Bryant that makes Joe Bryant Joe Bryant.
And Coach, to answer your question, Chris Bankston made the preseason first team.
Okay.
We're now joined by women's head coach Larry Vickers. Coach Vickers, thank you for your time this morning. My question to you is, given what you accomplished last season, you continue to build the program into one of the MEAC's perennial contenders. You won a share of the regular season title last year. You made it all the way to the championship game of the tournament. What's your biggest priority as you look to take that next step?
Well, I think for us, we've had smaller basketball teams. With me being 6'8", you think I'd be able to recruit a whole lot of bigs, but it seems like my teams are always guard oriented. So this year we wanted to, go out, and we knew last year rebound was one of the biggest reasons why we were unable to secure a postseason championship and a regular season championship outright, and we wanted to kind of fix those things.
All right, coaches, those conclude my questions. We will now open it up for questions from the media. Once again, please use the raise hand feature on your Zoom platform and state your name and affiliation when called upon. Our first question comes from Charles Holman.
Good morning, coaches. My name is Charles Holman from the Minnesota Spokesman Recorder. My question is for both of you. I believe in your schedule this year, you are playing a team or two that's non-HBCU, but have Black coaches on the other sideline. Can you speak on that? Are we making a big deal of that, or are we getting close to it being a rule as opposed to an exception when we talk about 2 Black coaches coaching against each other?
I guess I'll go first. I know we thought about that question that you say about coaching against other Black coaches that's non-HBCU. Who do we have? Bowling Green and maybe I don't know. Oh, Monmouth maybe. Yeah, that's not something that we thought about in the whole grand scheme of things of trying to coach against other Black coaches. I'm not really sure about that question, but that's just I would take.
Well, can you speak on just a general on a general standpoint?
It's great to compete against your peers and things like that. I don't really know what you're doing, but we hope to have good showings against Bowling Green and Monmouth, and those are 2 quality coaches that we're going to coach against King Rice and Mike Huger.
You want me to answer the question as well? I don't think it's something that we really think about. We played George Mason last year. Vanessa Blair was over there, and when we play Hampton, David Six. So I just think the more Black coaches there are, it doesn't really feel like it's an exception or something special. So that's why I don't think Coach Jones ever thought about it. I know I never really thought about it because, in our profession, there could always be more, but there are definitely Black coaches all across the country.
Thank you for both of you. Good luck this season.
Thanks.
Herbert Seward.
Good morning, coaches. This is Herbert Seward. from HBCU Digital Network. My first question is for Coach Jones. You're right. We talk a lot about Joe Bryant. He seems like he's been in that program forever, but he's been the heart and soul of that squad for a long time. One of the MEAC, one of the better players in recent MEAC history. One thing I wanted to ask though was that backcourt rotation of Bryant, Ings, and Chambers and those guys. How do you deploy them against competition? Because you got a really good outside shooter amongst those. Joe Bryant is kind of a do it all offensive player, can score at all three levels, and Ings is a really high energy penetration type of guard. How do you normally deploy those guys against the opponents you normally face?
I mean, as the season goes on, we'll have a set rotation. Right now, we don't have a set rotation. We don't even have our starters even chosen at this point. We'll see how the rest of the preseason continues. But a lot of times with a guy like Tyrese Jenkins, Tyrese Jenkins is 6'7", but he plays the guard, the 4. He actually played the 1 for us at 1.2. He's like a Swiss Army knife type of guy, so we can employ him against like some of the bigger teams that we play. Darrell Anderson is also a 6'6", 6'7" guard who can really shoot it. And he'll play against some of the bigger teams and things like that. And if we do have to go quicker, then of course Joe is there, and then we got Christian Ings, and we also have a young man Kaheem Brown who has some big games at the beginning of the year, but he got hurt. He's another kid that didn't play like the last 9 games of the season. He didn't play, and then he missed probably about 12 games during the last season in total. So he's a kid that was a junior college All-American that a lot of people haven't seen play. So he's another weapon that hopefully we can have if he stays healthy this year. But with that rotation, the best thing about it, I think the guys get along pretty well. So they don't really cry about playing time, and they just really pull for each other. So it's kind of easy to rotate them in and out.
My next question here is for Coach Vickers. You guys, came real close to really dethroning Howard earlier, last year in terms of in the tournament, and just kind of providing a lot of really good competition for them during the year. What would you attribute that to in terms of, how you played against that type of opponent?
Well, I mean, it's not just Howard. I mean, we got a lot of good teams in our league. Coppin and Morgan, ourselves, Howard. For us, it's really been a 6-year grind. We know what our ultimate goals are. Howard did a tremendous job last year, beating us in the championship game. And we know where our flaws are and where we got to get better. We got to get better with turnovers. We got to get better with rebounding. And that's against Howard, Morgan, Coppin, UMES, Cal State, South Carolina State, North Carolina Central. So, we're just trying to get better as a basketball team. As far as Howard goes or anybody else goes, look, we're just trying to put our best foot forward every night and, try and win some basketball games and win some championships. And that's our ultimate goal.
Last question for Coach Jones. How was that experience doing the TBT this summer, man? And how, I know we all saw you on television getting a lot of really good enjoyment from it. What was your final take on having that experience?
I mean, TBT was great. I know a lot of times coaches don't do it or whatever the case is. And, when I found out there's no rule against doing it, I said, why not do it? It was a situation that it was, like I tell people all the time that, when you coach your last game in March or whatever, you get to, even if you get to the national championship game in April, you really don't coach another game until November or October, I should say, which is scrimmages. Yes, you work in practice and things like that, but you don't have any game experience until basically 6 to 7 months later. So for me, to be able to coach in the TBT against some high level opponents, and coaching a team that didn't have a lot of practice, it helps with your after timeouts. It helps with your the quick game decisions and things like that. And also going back home to New York and playing in the Rucker, coaching in the Rucker was a tremendous experience. And even for my son, who's, obviously born in New York as well, but he's never been to the Rucker. So he's a young man that plays basketball as well. So just the whole overall experience of playing in the Rucker and was great. And the crowd was great. And then to advance all the way to the Sweet 16 as HBCU team was great as well too.
Thank you again, coaches, and good luck to both of you guys on the season. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Orlando Hughes.
Hey, coaches, how are you? First question's for you, Coach Jones. I know we talked a couple of years ago. You were saying how it was hard to get teams to schedule because no one wanted to play you. Looking at your schedule, what's your thoughts of your schedule this year? You guys are going to get a lot of flight miles going all over the country, several times to Texas, out to Phoenix, up to Newark. How do you feel about this schedule? Because I look at it, you got a lot of opponents, but then that MEAC schedule at the end, you got 3 games on the road, which could be challenging at the end of the year. So how do you prepare for this schedule?
Start with the non-conference schedule. It's going to be tough. We played 3 top 10 schools in the country. I'm not quite sure if anybody in the country is playing 3 top 10 schools in the country. So I'm not quite sure if that's going to be good or bad in the whole long run. But we played Baylor, UCLA, and Houston. Some of it was by design. Some of it was by necessity. By design, of course, just like the rest of the coaches on here say that, you have to raise funds and get guaranteed games and things like that. So that's we have to do that. But the Houston game was really a necessity because we didn't have a lot of opponents to choose from. People didn't want to play. Houston, of course, don't have a lot of people that want to play them with their style of play and how good they are. So it was really a situation between myself and Coach Sampson that said, hey, no one's really knocking down either one of our doors. So do you want to play? And we said, yeah, we'll play. So that's how that game really came about. But as far as the rest of the schedule, we go out to Las Vegas again for the CP3 thing and, go up to, New Jersey. And then, of course, we have a big local battle against Old Dominion December 3rd. So, it is going to be a challenging schedule. And then, of course, the MEAC is year in and year out, and especially this year from what, everybody seems to say about the MEAC, that is going to be extremely tough. So we have to be ready for the challenge. A lot of teams have gotten better. I look at the recruiting classes. I'm not one of them coaches that will say I don't know. I don't see what people got. And things like that. I think that everybody takes a peek. So I take a peek and I see what a lot of these other teams have, and they got pretty good players. So we got to be ready to bring it and perform throughout the whole year.
Got it. Coach Vickers, for you, we always see ODU, Norfolk State, to see that matchup with the men is a big thing. But now the women, you got opportunity to play the Lady Monarchs. So how big is that for your program down there in Tidewater?
Well, obviously, it's big for us when, a lot of the local players, high school kids, that is, they want to go to ODU. ODU, won national. Well, they played in Final Fours. So for us, that just puts us on a level in front of those local kids. When they see that score on the ticker, they know it's a little bit closer, recruiting-wise or program-wise than some people might make it seem. So this is my 3rd time playing them in my 7 years. So, hopefully one of these years we'll get them. Hopefully this will be the year.
Got it. Thanks, coaches. Have a good season.
Thanks.
Our last question for the Norfolk State coaches will come from Stephen Gaither.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Appreciate you guys for giving us your time. Coach Jones, wanted to ask you a couple questions really quick. So talk to me about Joe Bryant. How much better can he get than he's been the last couple of years? Having him back is obviously a luxury, but how much better can he get? And then I have a follow-up, and we'll go from there.
Well, Joe, is he going to go from a 17-point-a-game scorer to a 25-point-a-game scorer? Maybe not. And a lot of it is because, we do have other guys that's going to shoot the basketball. So it's going to be tough for him to do that. But I will say about Joe, he has dropped 15 pounds. So he's going to look a little different. He's a little faster. He's actually catching alley-oops and things like that, which he's never done before. So his athleticism has increased tremendously. And, we look forward to seeing how his new body and athletic makeup, goes this well during the season, goes for the season. So, he is a guy that is continuing to work hard at the game. He has a goal in mind of what he wants to do with his future. And, he just works hard every day. So we're looking forward to him having a great season.
Got you. And then last question, you guys, you mentioned the Chris Paul tournament that he's having out there in Vegas. You guys are going to be a part of that. You were part of the one in Phoenix last year. Just talk about the opportunity to take your team to some, situations like that. Obviously, you guys will be focused on the game, but, whatever the experience they get as well, and how important it is to have that athletic experience, and how that, builds you guys' brand, just playing on that platform with connected to Chris Paul.
Well, anytime you play with, a tournament like Chris Paul that's on ESPN, it always helps the brand. Anytime you're able to get on national TV, I think it helps the brand. So this year we're able to get on national TV a few times throughout the course of the year. So it'll help just the brand in general. And also, as most people know, there's no real HBCUs out west. So for us to play out west with those 4 teams that's going to play out there, it gives some of the student athletes out there, open their eyes to our programs, to our teams. Because honestly, some of those kids out west, no matter how much the success of any program that's playing in the Chris Paul Classic, they might not ever have heard of you. So now they get a chance to come to the game at the MGM and then check it out, and hopefully it's a brand of basketball that they would like to entertain, and maybe one day, come to your school as a West Coast student athlete.
Appreciate it, Coach. Good luck to you guys this year.
Thank you.
Coach Jones, Coach Vickers, thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you for your time and good luck this season.
Thank you.
Norfolk State will open the 2022-23 season on Monday, November 7th, with a home doubleheader in Eccles Hall against Virginia University of Lynchburg. We'll now head to Durham, North Carolina, as we are now joined by North Carolina Central head women's basketball coach Tricia Stafford Odom and head men's coach Lavelle Moten. The Eagle men were third in the MEAC standings last season, going 16-15 overall and 8-5 in conference play. The women finished 3-11 in conference play, but guard Diamond Thomas was named MEAC Rookie of the Year. Morning, coaches. Thank you for joining us today. How are you?
Good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. Doing well. Thank you.
Good to hear. First question, same question I've been asking all morning. Coaches, describe the vibes of your respective programs over the summer and in preseason camp.
I'll start, Coach Moten. The vibes have been very upbeat. Doing a lot of intermingling with 6 new players and 6 returners. We've had to kind of do somewhat of introductions all summer, but I think there's a high level of respect for what's here and what's come in. So it's gone very well for us.
It's been pretty much the same for us. Obviously there's a buzz in the air and some excitement. I don't know if it's just because we haven't battled COVID yet, right? I think we're just excited not to have to battle COVID, because COVID has been probably our biggest enemy the last 2 years. So we've been able to be around each other and develop some camaraderie and work out in the summer and lift weights. We haven't lifted weights in 2 years, right? So you take those things for granted when you're actually going through that actual process. But when it's taken away from you, you have a deeper appreciation for it. So it's just a sheer excitement for our guys, the camaraderie and the bond.
Coach Stafford Odom, what's the key in getting your program to take the next step this season?
Staying healthy, first and foremost. Staying healthy and being able to sustain a roster for an entire season without the unexpected injuries. I mean, those have really hindered us in the past, and the prolonged sit-outs hurt our chemistry. But in addition to that, I think just getting guard play consistent and taking care of the basketball. I think we've done a great job of bringing in players that have played on other levels, and they're able to compete successfully in the MEAC.
Coach Moten, what are your expectations and your biggest priority coming into this season?
Around here is the expectation is the expectation. We have quotes on the wall that says the standard is the standard. So that's never going to change. We support our alumni from fan base, throughout our recent success. And, we're still pretty much in our infant stages as a program. We're only 11 years old as being a Division I program. So our standard is the standard. It's never going to change. The expectation is going to be the expectation. And we expect that of ourselves.
Thank you, coaches. That concludes all of my questions. We will now open it up to questions from the media. Once again, please use the raise hand function on your Zoom platform and state your name and affiliation when called upon. Our first question comes from Charles Holman.
Good morning, coaches. Charles Holman from Minnesota Spokesman Recorder. My question specifically for Coach Tricia. Are we making a big deal when we talk about Black coaches coaching against each other that's not in the MEAC or a Black college conference, and especially when it's Black females coaching against each other? Are we making a big deal out of it? And how much are we becoming closer to being an exception of being a rule of this as opposed to being an exception?
Well, good morning, Mr. Holman. I've heard you ask that previously, and I think people that are not coaching make a bigger deal of it than us as coaches, than we do. I think we are so inclined to focus on the moment at hand, the strategic part of basketball, and we respect the coaches on the other side. But as individuals, there is a great pride to be able to look across the court and see you're coaching amongst and against someone of color, because it just shows the overall advancement in coaching. There are groups, ABIS, there are groups that are really focusing on giving minorities more opportunities. And I love the fact that right now, when you put it on the platform, you're able to see that it's not just about the color, it's about the skill and ability. And our inclination to be as good, if not better, strategists than some of our opponents.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this season.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Herbert Seward.
Morning, coaches. I'm Herbert Seward from HBC Digital Network. My first question is directed to Coach Moten. You guys got a big piece, in 7-1 center. I think MEAC folks are familiar with him. That's Brendan Beacon, Medley Bacon. And essentially, he's going to be he looks to be a really big part of what you guys want to do defensively or going to do defensively. How does he fit into your scheme and what you want to do on the court this year?
Good morning. Man, I can't say enough about Brendan. Like, he has history here at North Carolina Central. So his grandfather actually attended North Carolina Central. So this was probably our third or fourth time recruiting him on the back end of, his transferring. Obviously, he started at Coppin and, he's bounced around a bit. But he's 7'1", and I'll be completely honest, out of everyone that we brought in, he was the easiest recruit because he called me this time. And so I like to think it's a match made in heaven. The one thing that I'm extremely impressed by is his character. Like, he's an amazing kid to be around. And we know as coaches, the older we get, the less tolerance we have for foolishness in 19 and 20-year-old kids. It's just natural, but he'll come in my office and just kick it all day. He's a pure joy to talk to. He has a level of maturity that carries over into the floor that complements his skill set. Obviously, he's 7'1", and normally when you say that, you got to look underneath the hood and see if it's really quality or if it's a lemon, right? But he's really skilled, has great hands. Probably one of the smartest and brightest guys that we have. And so defensively, his presence, he's going to block shots. He's going to alter shots. But his ability to communicate and see from the back end and communicate our vernacular and our terminologies to our guards, like, he just helps everyone remain connected on the defensive end of the floor. And that's because his IQ is so high. So I love coaching him. What we've been really impressed by is his ability to score with his back to the basket. I think in the summer he was more doing DHO, dribble handoffs and things of that nature. I think a couple of coaches had him playing further away from the basket, and he got accustomed to that. And I said, no, big fella, like, if we bring you this far away from the basket, you're not 7'1" anymore. You're 6'5". So let's keep you a little closer to this basket and let you operate in space. So he's able to score within the post. And obviously that brings a different dimension to it when you can dump the ball down low to a 7'1" and he's guaranteed to get a high quality shot off.
That's a great segue into the second question that I have for you. What does his presence mean for your guards and for folks that can really put the ball in the hole? I know we talk a lot about Chris Monroe and what he's done at the forward position, but you've had some really impressive guards in the program as well. What does his presence there allow those guards and those wing players to do?
Not have to do too much, right? A lot of times, in basketball has transitioned, and it's always been this way, pretty much a guard dominant game. But oftentimes you guys watch games, whether it's in the collegiate level, high school level, or prep level, or grassroots level, or even on the NBA level, where guards tend to do too much. They tend to over dribble. They tend to get themselves in precarious positions that's unnecessary. When you have someone such as a 7'1" post presence that's proven, you can throw the basketball into him and let him create for you. The one thing with Brandon is his ability to pass. I think that's one of his most underrated skill sets. People look at him and see he's 6'1" and he's able to block shots and so on and so forth. But his ability to pass has, really, I marvel at that fact. So, he's a great guy to be around. And that's what good players do. They make other people better.
Thank you for your time, Coach Moten, and good luck on the season.
Thank you, sir.
Luke Williams.
Hi, Luke Williams from the Black College Sports page and HBCU Game Day. Hey, Coach, how you doing? You always have a good perspective on where we are in terms of where college. I got I asked both questions at the same time. I want you to talk about, in addition to the 7'1" kid, who else new do you have? But generally, what would you say right now is the state of college basketball? Where are we? What are the trends? What's basically happening on the college basketball level and how it affects what you do and what Central's able to do?
Is that for me or Trish? I'm sorry.
That's for you. That's for you.
I think we're in a good place in terms of minority and Black coaches having a presence on the sidelines. Representation matters, period. And there was a time when you could count, the amount of Black coaches in the NCAA on one hand, right? That you knew. That was John Thompson, Coach Chaney, Coach Raff, Nolan Richardson, the usual suspects. And just to see the advancement and how we've ascended, and not only just discuss the diversity, equity, and inclusion into college basketball, but actually created some form of action. Like we go on these DEIs and just talk all day about things. I'm more the action guy. Put your money where your mouth is. And I think college basketball and athletic directors have done an incredible job in doing that, where now it's not a novelty to see another Black face on the other opposing sideline when you're coaching against them. Before, that was really difficult to find unless it was in conference. Now you're outside of conference. It's really good to see what Shaheem has done, and like the Kevin Keats of the world, and obviously the Shockers, and the list goes on and on, Dennis Gates. But I'm extremely happy for those guys because they're opening up doors for our future, and that's what I'm so big on. Obviously, North Carolina Central is a historical university. We had the great John McClendon. The inception of his coaching career came here, and I was able to meet him, during my playing tenure. And he always said, "Don't let what I do be in vain," right? And I know what he meant by that, right? He took the butt whooping so we wouldn't have to go through them, because we're not equipped to go through what he had to go through in the 40s. Pre-Jim Crow segregation. We're not cut like that. We think we tough guys, but we're not. So he just gave us a baton, and it's our job to respect it and carry it out and create the future for this next generation of Black coaches.
And who are some of the guys that the new guys that you've brought in that you kind of think you will have to depend on this year?
Brendan Medley Bacon, obviously, that's the 7'1" transfer. He's been in the MEAC before and had a huge significant presence on both ends of the floor. So he's an older version of himself and a more polished version. So we're extremely excited about him. We have Fred Cleveland, who actually began his playing career at Carolina A&T, right? Mm-hmm. So, he's a smaller guy, but he can fill it up, man. And so he's fitting in our system very well. We wanted to get big on the perimeter, with our guards and shoot the basketball better because we knew our front court presence was going to see probably some double teams or whatever. And so we have Devin Butts, who, you know, he has some Mississippi State in him, and then recently transferred to us from a JUCO, but he's a 6'5" wing that shoots the cover off the ball. And one of the kids I'm most excited about is Devin Gordon. Like, he's a transfer from Mississippi Valley State. He averaged 11, 12 points. He had a couple of 30-point games at Mississippi Valley State. But when I say he'll be our best perimeter defender, 6'5", strong, tough, shoot the ball extremely well, but he just handles his business. He's such a low maintenance kid, right? He just come to practice and he's a grown man. I think he's about 50 years old, honestly, man. He just handles his business. And so it's always a joy for coaches to coach players like that, where, you know, you're not dealing with all the emotions and the roller coaster of emotions that young men actually go through. He just comes in to work and he handles his business. And then lastly, we had a transfer from started at Oakland, then he transferred from Pitt, named Dan Oladapo. So he's gonna, you know, he's an ACC guy, but he averaged a double-double at Oakland in the Horizon League, which is a very tough league. And so he's coming here, and, you know, during the summer he was trying to fit in, right? And, you know, a lot of times when you're trying to fit in, you become passive. I was like, no, don't. I can tell a dog to stop barking, but I can't tell him to bark. So go ahead and bark and let me tell you to stop. And so lately he's asserted himself. And so we're extremely excited with our front court depth and experience and our length and athleticism.
Sounds great, Coach. Good luck, man. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Lou. Take care.
Trayvon Miles.
Hey, Trayvon Miles from ABC 11 in Durham. This first question is for Coach Trish. First and foremost, you're bringing back Diamond. What do you see as the next or the biggest step in her progression going forward, and how does that translate to team success?
Hey, Trayvon. Well, Diamond was outstanding for us, but if you look on our current and updated roster, we're waiting to get Diamond back. She's dealing with some personal issues and getting her academics together. So right now, my focus is on Journey. Journey Kiaku is out of Gardner Magnet. She's a freshman. That speed is blazing and amazing. And her coupled with the returner, Kyra Lowry, I think I have to focus more. And as a staff, we build around those two guards. So we can pick up where we left off, where Diamond left off, but we've added so much more depth and experience that we're very pleased with the direction we're capable of going. Now it's up to us to reach the potential, but we definitely have filled the roster with talented players. We're capable of shooting the basketball. We've got to improve as other teams in our on-ball defense and our rebounding. But there's pure excitement about what we're capable of doing.
And then for Coach Vell, you talked about the standard being the standard. With what you have coming back and the expectation, as you say, always in Durham is a championship. How much of those conversations with those guys who have had success in this conference before been about getting back to that? And how do you take that one day at a time as opposed to, you know, wanting already for those guys already kind of having their eyes focused on February and March?
You know, I tell them, you know, you know how it is. Where we are is Tobacco Road. So if you go to a grocery store, somebody's bumping into you talking about basketball. So you're constantly hearing the external voices and the external expectations of where your program is. And that's an exciting thing, most definitely, to be around. I tell our guys, even before they put pen to paper and arrived here, this is what's going to happen when you get here. This is the expectation of yourself. If you're not cut for that or built for that, this is probably not the best place for you, because once you come, it's no hiding. It's no hiding. Once you put on that NCCU logo, it's no hiding. We're right there in the same conversations with the Dukes and the North Carolinas. We don't have a professional team right here in the Triangle. We are the professional teams in these people's minds. So there's a level of expectation and standard that comes with it. But I tell them, you know, it's really simple. We don't talk about championships. We just try to win every day. And I know that's cliche, and I know that's not clickbait and headline bait, but It's really that simple, because if you don't do what you're supposed to do in August or September, then you don't stand a chance in March. I'm a firm believer in karma, right? And what you put in this world is what you actually reciprocate, right? And I just tell them, put good out into this world. And Granddaddy used to call it an honest day's effort, right? Every day you wake up, go to class, sit in the first 3 rows, take your hat off, cut your phones off, eat your nice meal at lunch where it got some color in it, not sugar, salt, no white stuff or whatever. Get you some greens, veggies, all these things that got color in it, no sugar. Go get you a lift in, go get your workout, arrive for practice early, get your shots up, practice hard, give everything you have, go back to your room, take a shower, come back later and get you extra shots up. That's stacking these days on top of each other. And that's what greatness is. Greatness is just a bunch of good things stacked on top of each other. So we're trying to teach them the culture. It helps because we have guys that's still in the community that played at North Carolina Central, who is a hop, skip, and a jump away. I bought my I'm getting old, so I don't even know what year Pat Cole was Player of the Year. I'm going to say 2017. He's back on staff now, right? And so it's interesting to hear him. I don't have to jump on the kids like I once did. He's jumping on them, right? And so it's a beautiful thing because there's a standard, there's an expectation. And even if you fall short sometimes, that's okay. But let's make sure we're giving a valiant effort each and every day.
Thank you both, and good luck, and I'll see you both very soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our last question will come from Skip Foreman.
Coaches Moten and Stafford Odom, Skip Foreman from HBCU Game Day, and it's directed to the both of you. And I'll let you guys flip over to who wants to answer first. Looking at your schedules, you're all over the countryside to begin with. Is there a certain thing that either of you is looking for in the fact that you're playing those road games? I know you want to win, obviously, you want to develop talent, but are there intangibles or hidden ingredients there that you're looking for to see what kind of team you're going to have when you hit the MEAC side of the schedule?
Coach Mo, you gonna let me go first? You're such a gentleman.
Always ladies first.
Hey.
I'm a gentleman.
Mr. Skip, in that recently ranked #1 preseason UNC shirt you got on. That's a
you
great
would
question.
have to see that.
Yeah, I see it. For us, there are reasons why we play who we play. I try to make sure that every player of mine gets the opportunity to play back in their hometown before they get out of our system. So the Memphis game, our senior Kyra Lowry, she's from Tennessee, she's from Memphis, we'll get to get back there. Respectfully, we're playing A&T. But Rutgers, that's a relationship with another African-American head coach of mine who's been different places. Coach Queese Washington's been all over and had great success. That's a relationship we build. And because of my past coaching experiences, I've got a lot of friends on those levels who always, welcome us to play. And what we are looking for is, you're right, the win. But the small victories, which I usually don't like to celebrate, if we can go in there and minimize their offensive attacks or execute our offense and defensive strategies, I feel like it's going to better prepare us for conference play. There's App State. There's some local games that we like to play. Elon is a relationship thing with an outstanding head coach in Charlotte Smith. And then we get out to West Virginia. I don't know anything about West Virginia, but hopefully we can show our roster that, there's talent all over and you think you're the best, but there's always somebody that may be working harder than you. And hopefully it serves that as motivation.
Thank you.
You're
Coach
welcome. I'm the one day at a time guy. So I'm unable to run off my schedule the way Trish just did. I think that's fascinating. All I know is we opened up with UVA. And obviously I wanted our guys to get tested initially because that's traditionally known as the best defensive team in the country, right? And so we're not going to see coverages and schemes in anyone else the way we see them in Virginia. Tony does an incredible job with that. I do know we have LSU, and I do know we have, you probably got the schedule in front of me. But it's really not crazy for me. LSU and who else do we got? I really just go one day at a time. But we got our amount of guarantee games, obviously, that, you know, we got to raise the money for the program. But then we do have the app states. We have 4 Division II non-1 schools as well, but we also have Liberty, right, which is a huge test. That's just like playing a guarantee game with them. Oh, we do have Marquette, so I did play Shaka this year, so we're going up to that Milwaukee, Chicago area. But what I try to do as well is just, you know, during your senior year, just try to have a kid experience, you know, playing basketball in his region, somewhere in this demographic of where he resides, so he can have his family and friends come, because it's all about the totality and the experience of, you know, college basketball. And 10 years from now, that's a moment that they could possibly cherish forever.
Okay, and quickly, having a 7-1 kid go up against Virginia, that's going to be multiple tests, because obviously you want to funnel the ball into him, but you're going against a top-ranked defense, one of the best in the country, as you said.
Right. You know, they present their challenges, and they double the post every time someone touch it, regardless of who it is, right? So it's a game where our guys got to be alert and extremely aware of the things I tell them, how to cut hard and play hard and pass hard. You got to do everything hard against Power 5 schools, especially because their length and athleticism is probably not the same as we'll see, you know, in low to mid major basketball. So if you want some sort of separation, you know, you have to get that separation without having the ball in your hands, and so on and so forth. So it'll definitely be a challenge. It'll be a challenge for myself and my coaching staff to create a game plan that place our kids in the best situation possible. But that's why we do it. That's the fun part of it.
Coach Moulton, thank you. I hope you can step up to Coach Stafford Odom's level and learn the schedule.
My man, I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Thank you both.
I'll let her schedule for me. You got a job, Tish.
Wow.
All right, Coach Stafford Odom, Coach Moulton, thank you for your time this morning and this afternoon. Good luck this season.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Jeff. And I want to make sure I welcome all our new coaches to the conference.
Likewise.
North Carolina Central will open its season on Monday, November 7th. The women will be at home in McDougal-McClendon Arena against Johnson C. Smith. The men will hit the road to take on the University of Virginia. To wrap things up today, we head now to Orangeburg, South Carolina, where we are joined by our final coaches of the day, South Carolina State head women's coach Tim Eatman and head men's coach Eric Martin. Both coaches are entering their first season in Orangeburg. Good afternoon, coaches. Welcome to the MEAC. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So much.
First question is for both of you. You can decide who takes it first. What's been the respective vibe with your programs? Not just over the summer since you took over, but here in preseason camp.
Coach, you can answer first.
Well, I tell you, the biggest thing that we're trying to do is learn how to be comfortable while being uncomfortable. We've really been stressing that to our players. We've been trying to get them to understand that they can get comfortable while being uncomfortable, trying to learn a new system, trying to learn new habits and trying to develop their skill level. We can be a very good basketball team. The first thing we really tried to do right now is focus on our academics. We're trying to build a foundation with them through academics and trying to get them to understand that they can take the right steps in the classroom each day. Then those things will lead to the basketball court, and they can continue to do that and work hard in the classroom. Then we can get that residual effect when we get on the basketball court. And the last thing is you can tell the state of your program and how well you recruit because of the fact when you bring players to campus, the players that's on campus is the one that's really got to seal the deal. And I feel like our kids have done a really great job these last 2 weekends. Our football program is doing awesome in football. We got a wonderful game coming up this weekend against North Carolina Central. So we're expecting to have a host of recruits here, and we're expecting our players to do a wonderful job. So you can tell how you're doing, how well they entertain recruits. And so I feel like the state of our program is in great shape right now.
Wow, Coach, I'm jealous. Hey, thanks for having me. To be honest, I got hired on the 13th of July. I got back on campus on the 17th. That's the month from the start of school. So the majority of the time I've spent trying to finish the schedule, hire staff, and find 8 players. So I can honestly say now our team is just now getting to know each other. And I think what my biggest mission will be is having realistic goal for my team. I mean, we understand that the MEAC is a really good conference. I've been fortunate enough the last 15 years to be with West Virginia. So the last 2 years, I've seen the national champion up close. And what I've tried to explain to my teammate or my team is, hey, fellas, you gotta care about your teammate. I mean, I don't think the national champion always has the best talent. I do know they have the best chemistry. So I've tried to push these guys to spend time with each other off the court. I do think that'll spill onto the court. That doesn't guarantee victories, but I've really pushed to my team, hey, let's care about each other. Let's push each other in practice. And the goal is, to get better every day. I don't think this year's success can be measured in wins and losses because we did get a late start, but I like my team. They play hard. They throw that ball around, which scares me, but with more practices and a few games, we'll hopefully shore that up.
Coach Eatman, what's your biggest priority as you enter your first season in Orangeburg?
The thing that we want to do is make sure we build culture. Our goal and our theme this year is building on the past to create the future. We don't have Roberta Williams in the gym right now. We don't have Keisha Campbell's in the gym right now. We don't have Jimmy Gatlin's in the gym right now. But we do have a group of young people who understand that they're playing in a setting that great players have stepped in front of them in the past. And so if we can get them to understand how and what spot they're in right now, to get a chance to get to know who they are. And they have to learn who they are from the past. And so each day before practice, we have them tweeting about an alum, someone from South Carolina State each day. And that's not for the alums, that's for them to understand that they're in a great place. They should be proud of where they are, and they should understand that they got a lot on their shoulders because they represent a lot of great people. When you look back at the past MEAC, records, Wanda Wiggins had great records. She's the only MEAC player to lead the conference in scoring and rebounding, so at the same time. So you had all of these great players to play in front of you. And then in 1979, we won an AIAW national championship. So what the things that have happened in the past, if we can build off of that to create our future, we're really gonna tap into that.
Coach Martin, you touched on this a little bit in your first answer, but I posed the same question to you. What your biggest priority is in year one in Orangeburg?
I piggyback off what Coach Eaton said. I'm just trying to lay down the foundation for my program, and I want to build culture. I want to be a defensive team. I want to be a great rebounding team. I want to be someone that no matter who we play, we're gonna play hard and we're gonna compete against. Before I got here, the majority of my schedule was already done. We play our first 11 games on the road. That's not ideal, but it is what it is. And as I've tried to tell our kids in practice, be prepared for anything and everything. Don't expect to get any calls. So I try not to make any calls in practice. Deal with it. We gotta fight through adversity. And I believe character is truly revealed through adversity. And with our first 11 games coming on the road, we're gonna see some adversity real soon.
Thank you, coaches. That concludes all of my questions. We will now open it up for questions from the media. Once again, please use the raise hand function on your Zoom platform and state your name and affiliation when called upon. Our first question is from Herbert Seward.
Thank you. Yes, this is Herbert. This first question is for Coach Martin. West Virginia had a distinct style of play when you were there under Bob Huggins. The moniker Press Virginia just kind of resonates with college basketball. How much of that philosophy are you bringing with you to South Carolina State?
Well, definitely. I'm going to definitely play the style that we played at West Virginia. I would like it even better if I had those players that I had at West Virginia, but I got to try and figure this out. And once again, I think my team will lead the league in walk-on minutes played because we have a lot of really good walk-on. Rashawn Edwards. I expect Dallas James to get some minutes, a 7-footer. So we're going to have a lot of players that will have opportunity. And that's another thing I've told to my team every day at practice. Everyone's going to get an opportunity to play. How much you play will depend on how you play.
That's a great response. I guess the next question is that the MEAC is a backcourt driven league for the most part. There are a lot of really good guards, as you probably have heard through the press conference, that are in the league that have really kind of cemented the identity of their own squads. Who do you see, stepping forward as being part of South Carolina State's backcourt rotation this year?
Well, the first two guys that come to mind are Rakeem Gary and Rashawn Edwards, both returners from last year. They both are at either 1.5 or 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, and they represent over half of our 3-pointers that we've made. So those are the guys who initially come to mind, but we brought in some junior college guys, some older guys who I know Atiba Taylor has played Division I before, so he's familiar with Division I, and Hassan Hallam is the older guard. And the thing is, we're just so inexperienced, and sometimes that's not a bad thing because what you don't know, you don't know. You just want the guy to go out there and play hard. And then obviously when you get into MEAC and you're playing against more experienced teams, that can be a detriment. But as I said before, our schedule is going to prepare us for the MEAC, and we're at Kentucky, we're at Wake Forest, and unfortunately, I got to go back to Lubbock, where I've been the past 11 years, and I don't think I've had a lot of luck there with West Virginia. So those games will allow us a chance to get better and then be able to step back before the MEAC and look at ourselves and see where we're at and kind of tighten up the things that we're not good at and try and get better at the things we are good at.
Thanks again, Coach, and good luck on the season.
Thank you.
Charles Holman.
Good morning, Charles Holman, Minnesota spokesman recorder. My question is for Coach Tim. Coach Tim, this will be the first year in many years that we won't see C. Vivian Stringer on the sidelines. And she was a big advocate for Black coaches, coaching men and female. Can you speak on just her legacy and have talked about enough, in your opinion?
Well, you can never talk enough about C. Vivian Stringer. And also you can never talk enough about Marion Washington. Both of those two young ladies have done a wonderful job of helping navigate all of us young coaches to get to where we are. When you look at C. Vivian Stringer and look at winning over 1,000 games, she's the only African-American who's done that. And the longevity that she had in the college game, it speaks volume for herself. But the more importantly than just her being a great basketball coach, she's a better person than she is a basketball coach. She's a wonderful mother. She has 3 kids, and she's done a wonderful job of helping nurture so many coaches out there. When you look at a coaching tree and look at all of our sisters and our brothers that's been under her, you're looking at about 20 to 30 people who are coaching college basketball right now that had the opportunity to touch her. And I'm so thankful for her. She's been like a mom to me. When my mom passed, these last 7 years when I worked with her at Rutgers, she gave me an opportunity to help lead that program. And she put a lot of responsibilities on my hand. And I can feel that, and I can see a lot of her in myself when I'm watching film from practice. I can see some of the things that she's trying to get accomplished. And we're just so thankful that she's a part of our life. I called her yesterday just to tell her congratulations because she's getting inducted into the Rutgers Hall of Fame this Friday. They're naming the court after her on December the 4th. And we hope that we can be there to help celebrate that. But for what she's done for not only women's basketball, what she's done for the overall landscape of college basketball for people as myself and Coach Martin, just people of color, it speaks volume.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this season.
Thank you so much.
Stephen Gaither.
Yeah, so Herb kind of got my question before I got to it, but I'll amend it a little bit. Coach Martin, just talk about just the what it's been like for you to get there and what you're trying to build the culture of South Carolina State basketball. They've had some success, but it's been quite a while. And you come from a place that has a lot of culture. What did you learn in your time with Coach Huggins? And just being around basketball that you think can help you guys create a not only just beyond this season, but a culture of winning basketball at South Carolina State.
Yeah. I wouldn't even knew about the job at South Carolina State if it wasn't for Coach Huggins reaching out to me and saying, I think this would be a good fit for you, Eric. And he gave me 2 pieces of advice. He said, make sure you hold your kids accountable and be yourself. Be yourself. I'm a person who's very comfortable in my skin. I know I'm not perfect. I have faults, but I'm a genuine person who truly cares about young people, not just college kids, but kids in general. I think they're the purest form of our society. And as we get older, that pureness gets taken away for whatever reason. You can call it TV, social media. I don't want to go down that line too much, but I just like being around kids. And the opportunity to be a head coach is not only to prepare them on the floor, but it's also to prepare them after college for life. And I think that's just as important. My vision is to 4 or 5 years from now, be practicing and having guys who have graduated come back with their kids and tell stories about me, how much I ran them, how mean I was to them, which probably isn't true, but also to have those people donate to my program. I feel like I can build this program from the inside out, but it starts with this first group of guys. And as I told them, I'm a first-time head coach. And if you talk to most first-time head coach, that first year's team usually gets it the worst. So our kids are going to be in shape. They're going to do a little extra running, but I think the city of Orangeburg and the South Carolina State University will be proud at the effort that they get from their men's basketball team.
Yeah, and then just to piggyback off that, you talked about having to put together, find the players and put together the schedule. Just kind of give me a little bit of rundown of some of the guys that you brought in and kind of how you're connected to them and that it will play a role in what you guys have going on this year.
Right. Well, having been at West Virginia for 15 years, I've had a lot of contacts everywhere. And the staff for West Virginia is Larry Harrison and Ronnie Everhart. To most, maybe those names don't ring a bell, but those guys are lifers in college basketball. So when I got the job, not only my contacts, but anyone who was connected to them was telling me about players. Now, when you're trying to find the staff, fill out your schedule, it's a whole lot. So I leaned on junior college coaches and I signed a lot of older players. At the beginning, I said, I don't want any kids. I don't want to sign any freshmen. I ended up signing 3 freshmen, and they're all great fits. The most talented of all my freshmen, unfortunately, he got hurt 4 days to being on campus, but that's just the way things happen. And now it's an opportunity for the next person, next man up. And that's part of our motto too. There's going to be opportunity for everyone. I hope the seniors take advantage of it, but I'm going to give my freshmen opportunities to play also.
Appreciate it, Coach. Good luck this season.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Coach Eatman, Coach Martin, thank you for your time this afternoon. Thank you for joining us and good luck this season.
Thank you so much.
For having me.
Have a great day.
South Carolina State will open its season. The women will open on Monday, November 7th at East Carolina. The men will open the next day, Tuesday, November 8th at South Carolina. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the 2022-23 MEAC Basketball Coaches Preseason Video Conference. Before we end this conference, the MEAC would like to thank its corporate partners, including the National Football League, ESPN, Coca-Cola, Cricket, Jostens, Town Bank, Geico, and Nike. Ladies and gentlemen, please be aware that this video conference will be archived and available on the MEAC's YouTube page, the MEAC Digital Network, so you can go back and rewatch this at any point. As always, for up-to-date news on MEAC men's and women's basketball and our other sponsored sports, log on to meacsports.com. You can also follow the MEAC on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at MEAC Sports, and follow the MEAC Digital Network on YouTube. From meacsports.com, you can also learn how to join the MEAC Nation Association. Once again, we would like to thank our men's and women's basketball coaches for joining us today, our MEAC sports information offices for their assistance, and to the media for their participation in today's video conference. Once again, we thank you for joining. We look forward to an exciting basketball season. The 2023 MEAC basketball tournament will be at the Norfolk Scope Arena in Norfolk, Virginia, March 8th through 11th. That's March 8th through 11th, 2023 for the MEAC basketball tournament, right here in Norfolk, Virginia for an 11th straight year. For more information, log on to meacsports.com as well as meachoops.com and be on the lookout because tickets for the 2023 MEAC basketball tournament will be made available within the next couple of weeks. I'm Jeff Cunningham, the Director of Strategic Communications for the MEAC. Thank you for your time. Thank you for participation, and have a great 2022-23 basketball season.
Thanks.